I'll be presenting on the profile of ocular lesions in patients with COVID-19, first wave versus second wave. Ocular involvement in COVID-19, the prevalence is known to be 2 to 32% and varied etiology. Coming to the first symptom, conjunctivitis, which was the most common symptom of COVID-19. The first wave of COVID-19 saw conjunctivitis, acute follicular conjunctivitis, more in the early stages of infection, also in the mid stages. In some cases, it was even the first manifestation. So ophthalmologists were at higher risk of infection as most cases were undiagnosed or asymptomatic. Symptoms are mostly redness, foreign body sensation, and tearing. And there was presence of virus in the tears and the conjunctival secretions. Whereas the second wave of COVID-19, there were a lot of chronic conjunctivitis cases also with delayed presentation, average 10 to 15 days presentation after recovery. So ophthalmologists were at completely lesser risk, and blurring of vision was a predominant symptom in comparison to the first wave, apart from the usual redness, tearing, and foreign body sensation. Coming to the eyelid involvement, the first wave of COVID-19 there was eyelid involvement more in the form of blocked meibomian orifice abnormalities and lid margin hyperemia and telangiectasia, and blepharitis, which positively correlated with the COVID-19 status. Whereas the second wave of COVID-19, the eyelids were more severely involved in the form of eschars and necrotic tissue on the eyelids and rhinoorbital mycosis, in the form of more severe preseptal cellulitis, and in the form of varied forms of ptosis, most of the time neurogenic ptosis. Coming to the neuro-ophthalmological manifestations, the first wave of COVID-19 reports said that neuro-ophthalmic manifestations are not common, and at present, isolated case reports are all that we have to build a foundation. Reports also said that cranial nerve palsies associated with COVID-19 have been reported in the literature within a few days of fever and cough onset, most without remarkable radiological features. Whereas the second wave of COVID-19 showed a lot more neuro-ophthalmological involvement and varied manifestations in the form of optic disc edema, optic neuritis, optic disc pallor, severe optic atrophy, multiple cranial nerve palsies, cortical blindness, and more severe and pronounced radiological features as compared to the first wave. Coming to the involvement of retina in the first wave, retina was more subtly involved in the first case, more in the form of a microangiopathy, whereas the second wave showed a lot more retinal involvement in the form of central retinal arterial occlusions and venous occlusions. And a lot of times patients presented with a no PL status and were found to have arterial and venous occlusions. Coming to the periorbital area, the first wave of COVID-19, reports said that direct orbital involvement in COVID-19 is very rare. There have been only 2 reported cases of sinusitis, orbital cellulitis, and intracranial abnormalities. Reports also said that there are not many orbital manifestations described, but it is expected that their incidence will rise considering the interplay of comorbidities and treatment along with the infection itself. And that is what we saw in the second wave of COVID-19, which was completely a tsunami of rhinoorbital mucormycosis, which there was orbital and periorbital involvement in varied and severe manifestations, right from necrotic to sloughing off of orbital, periorbital areas and eyelids, and patients requiring exenteration and also post-exenteration issues, which we are still dealing with. And in the time to come, this is going to be the major area of focus. Coming to post-COVID accommodative anomalies, which were much more in the second wave, which we are still dealing with. A lot of kids with digital eye strain, and so that is causing a lot of ocular morbidity. And children are under visual rehabilitation in the form, children and even adults, in the form of binocular vision therapy.